Hey, what's up guys, it's TechSummer talking to you here. And today, I want to talk about the iPad Pro that is coming in 2022 because there are some leaks that seem quite interesting about the iPad Pro 2022 that won't make me upgrade but will make definitely the iPad a different product than it is today. My iPad Pro 2018, as you can see here, it's still brand new, almost brand new. And so I don't have almost any reason to upgrade for next year's iPad because as you can see, I have my M1 Max MacBook Pro back there and that's my editing machine. But this iPad Pro from 2018 is an amazing product, and if you are looking to buy an iPad Pro, then you should probably wait if you're not wanting to get a refurbished iPad Pro, because the 22 iPad Pro will be incredibly good with some new features that will blow your mind. But of course, my favorite recommendation and my recommendation for you guys that are looking for an iPad Pro right now is try to find a refurbished iPad Pro from 2018. This is still the best deal in tech for iPad Pros, but if you can't find a 2018 refurbished on Apple Store, then try to find the 2020 iPad Pro. The differences are minimal. The only difference will be the camera. You will have two instead of one, being the second one an ultra-wide camera and a LiDAR sensor. But if you don't care about that, then this is the cheaper model, and with the A12X you will have plenty of performance for the next few years. But of course, today's video is about the new leaks for the 2022 iPad Pro. And so, before that, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and let's get started. So, the first leak available for the 2022 iPad Pro would be the wireless charging. This is the most important leak for this generation of iPad Pros because it will change the way we use our iPads and the way our iPads are going to be used. Because Apple is about to introduce wireless charging on these iPad Pros. And you might be thinking, wait, wireless charging on an iPad Pro? But why? Then that's a simple question to answer. If you make the back from your iPad Pro's glass, which is needed for wireless charging to work, then you would have a more premium feel, a different feel, and a design change. This is the first reason that I think that Apple is updating their iPad Pro design would be a design change, just because of a design change. So it would entice even more people to upgrade. But secondly, I do believe that by adding wireless charging to the iPad Pros, Apple wants to make the iPad Pro a wireless charging dock. For example, you can wirelessly recharge your AirPods or even your iPhone if you want to power share your energy from your iPad Pro to your iPhone or even to your AirPods. So how will Apple do this? Well, the rumors are said that Apple will introduce Magsafe on the iPad Pro. Not the Magsafe from the MacBook Pro, but although I will think that will be pretty cool, but the Magsafe that is present on the iPhones. Yes, the Magsafe puck that it's magnetically attaches to your iPhones will be present on the iPad Pro. And this will enable a ton of new features because, as you know, when the Magsafe was firstly launched with the iPhone 12s, people were speculating that the iPhone 12s would have a reversed wireless charging coil, so you'll be able to reversely wireless charge other stuff from your iPhone. But that wasn't true. But again, later on we found out that the Magsafe charge port was actually able to reverse wireless charging. So, of course, this is the rumor that the iPad Pro will feature wireless charging Magsafe and will be also available to reverse wireless charge your AirPods and even your iPhones. So that will be pretty cool. And this ties on the fact that the iPad Pro will suffer a big redesign. The redesign for the iPad Pro 2022 will be insane. As you can see right now, the iPad Pro is always and all made of aluminium. This is a very premium feel and it's very, very thin. But this 2022 iPad Pro, there are rumors saying that it's going to be made out of titanium, the same material that the Pro iPhones are going to be made with the iPhone 14. So this would be pretty cool because titanium, not other, is way more resistant than aluminium, but it's also very light. And so I do believe that Apple wants to use a very premium but light material so that iPad Pros keeps their lightweight feel, but of course increase in the premiumability and how good they feel, because the iPad Air feels the same as this iPad Pro just because it has aluminium on the back, just like this iPad Pro and the iPad Mini. So Apple wants to differentiate even more the Pro lineup from the iPad Pros to the iPad Airs, Minis and the normal iPad, which is the cheap iPad from 2021. But of course you are there thinking, whoa, if Apple is making this device out of titanium, well, how will Apple wirelessly charge stuff? Like I told you, there's two possibilities. Apple will make this Apple size ring, so the Apple logo, big enough so it fits a Magsafe port or a Magsafe puck size, and so the coils are behind this glass. That, or Apple is making the whole back behind the iPad Pro glass. That would be a second possibility, and that's the one that I think will happen. And you might be thinking, well, that's more prone to breaking, and that's true. But again, Apple will probably give it the ceramic shield that is present on the iPhone, so it will be pretty resistant to glass breaking, but not so resistant to scratching. So we have to make some compromises in this field. But of course, I'm very excited for the wireless charging and Magsafe puck, so I can wirelessly recharge my iPhone if I need to when I'm in class or restaurant and working on the go. And if I want to reverse wireless charge my AirPods, that's also very important to me. And so this leak would be just incredible to see. I won't upgrade my iPad Pro just because of that, but that would be pretty insane. And that's why I do think that the next leak that I will talk about, it's very, very accurate, because I do think that Apple wants to change the way you use your iPad Pro forever. Why? Because I do think they won't make a big change, a severe change to the future of the iPad. They don't want you to use the iPad on a portrait mode, just like this, like using it like this. They want to use it by default like this on landscape. And so I do think that they will change the camera from being on portrait side to the lateral side. That's why I do think they will change also the wireless charging for the Apple Pencil, because they need to put the cameras right here. So the Face ID system will be here. And you might be thinking, wait, why? Well, that's pretty simple. Because Apple wants you to dock this on Magic Keyboards. They want to sell even more Magic Keyboards than they are doing. And if Apple can convince you to use a Magic Keyboard and to place your keyboard there, your iPad Pro there, then you will be able to do your FaceTime calls even better. You'll be able to unlock a ton of new stuff. And of course, I do think that Apple wants to push even more the iPad to be simply a FaceTime thing. Of course, there are other rumors which imply with this, which is the creation of the HomePod Max. This HomePod Max would be a device which would be like an iPad, but would have a HomePod behind it, and you would just simply do FaceTime calls with it. On the kitchen, it would be a very cheaper type of an iPad, so you would do FaceTime calls and watch videos on your kitchen, just like there's some Google accessories and Google Home smart stuff like that, and Amazon too. But of course, I don't think that Apple will do it. I don't think that Apple will create a similar product like the iPad Pro and put a speaker there and call it the HomePod Max. No, I don't think that Apple will create a new accessory for the iPad Pro. A speaker that you can click using Magsafe. Imagine this, using Magsafe finally to connect your iPad Pro to a HomePod and use the HomePod as the speaker for the iPad Pro, and then you can use Center Stage to do these FaceTime calls in the kitchen, and that will be a competitor for those types of devices from Google and Amazon, and that would be pretty cool. That's the future that I think Apple will go for the iPad Pro, the most versatile product of their lineup. It can be a computer if you want to, or if you can to, it can be your tablet. It's the best tablet on the market, by the way, and it can be your home assistant, your home everything, your home appliance, your everything. It can be everything. Your iPad Pro can metamorph into every single product from Apple's lineup. And so by going to this route, I think that it will be pretty incredible. Not only will sell a ton of more iPads, and of course the Pro models by the beginning of this transition, but also will sell even more HomePods, and people with the iPad Pro will be very enticed to upgrade just by this. And so by putting the camera on the landscape mode and introducing a new accessory for the iPad Pro, this would be just the beginning of the end for Android tablets that right now they don't have a lot of life because they're almost dead, but Apple will kill them totally with this new accessory. And so it brings me over to one of the last leaks of today. The last leak of today would be the fact that this iPad Pro will have an M2 chip. That's not new. What are you talking about? Of course it will have an M2 chip. But why? I do think that Apple will introduce Pro app support for the iPad Pro, and we'll have an external display mode. Now, I do think that Apple will do some new changes on the iPadOS 16 that will enable Pro app support on the iPad Pro. John Prosser has been talking about a lot of the Pro app support for about 2 years now, and so I do believe that this iPad Pro app support will come in the near future, and of course the new external revamped display. So right now if you connect your iPad Pro to an external display, you will get a mirror device that's 4x3, but I do believe that Apple will metamorph the iPadOS with tvOS and a lot of more stuff, So this iPad Pro will be just an incredible device to use with your external displays. We'll have Pro app support so you can edit on the go, Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro, and of course Xcode. Apple has introduced this new transaction with the creation of a type of an Xcode. It's not an Xcode, but it's sort of an Xcode. So Apple has introduced that at its beginning, so I do believe that Apple will make this iPad Pro even more capable. Of course, the biggest leaks of today are not the M2 chip. Of course, the Magsafe support for iPad Pro. I do believe that Apple will put better cameras on their iPad Pros, but they won't put the iPhone 13s or even the iPhone 14's camera, but I would want so. So you would have the same cameras on the iPad Pro as you have on your iPhone. That would be pretty cool. The way you could shot movies on your iPad Pro and then edit them on only one device. That would be amazing. Please bring ProRes 4K 60 support for this iPad Pro and also cinematic mode. But again, like I told you, this iPad Pro will have a ton of new features, just like a brand new design with titanium build. We'll have Magsafe support. It will probably have a new accessory, the HomePod Acessory for iPad, where you can dock your iPad and use it as a FaceTime machine. It will have a ton of new features, and if that happens, maybe in the future Apple will entice me to upgrade. Not right now. I have more priorities than the iPad Pro. I want to try the Apple VR glass. I want to try the iPhone 14, and I spend a lot of money on my M1 Max MacBook Pro, and so I don't think I will get this new iPad, even though it's going to be a huge change for the iPad Pro lineup. And I do think that Apple finally is going to bring mini LED to 11-inch iPad Pro. Yes, I do think that's happening. I don't think Apple is bringing OLED to these iPad Pros still. I don't think they will improve the mini LED display, of course, with this new generation from the M1 Max MacBook Pro. This display is quite incredible, and it doesn't have the same blooming issues that the M1 iPad Pro from 2021 has. And so I do believe that this iPad Pro from 2022 will be a huge change. And you are probably now thinking and asking yourself, well, when it's coming, this new iPad Pro? The answer right now is I'm not sure, but I do believe it will come around the October timeline. A lot of leakers has also talked about it coming at the end of 2022, not the beginning, and so I do believe more for the October timeline, just because it has a ton of new technologies. It's a redesign, and so I do think that Apple wants to give it a little bit more time. And normally Apple gives it 1.5 years, so that's 18 months between iPad Pro refreshes, and so I do think that the last one came around May and April from 2022, and so I do think that this new one will come around the October timeline from 2022. So let's see what will happen. And of course, I'm very excited because this iPad Pro needs a huge change to create a ripple on the tablet market. But what are your thoughts on this new iPad Pro? Do you want Magsafe on this iPad Pro, or will you simply buy the 2018 iPad Pro, even if all the changes that I've talked about today come true on this new 2022 iPad Pro? Let me know in the comments down below. And by then, probably the best option for you would be an M1 iPad Pro with mini LED. But let's see how low can these prices go, how low can Apple sell these iPad Pros, because I do think that this is the best Apple iPad ever until now. Even better than the M1 iPad Pro from 2021, from the 2020 iPad Pro. I do think that this is the best deal in tech right now, because this iPad Pro, I bought it in 2018 and it still feels brand new. While my iPhone 13 Pro Max, I bought it on September, feels a little bit old right now. This iPad Pro is almost 4 years old now and it feels brand new. But let me know in the comments down below which are your opinions on the new 2022 iPad Pro leaks. And of course, do you have an iPad Pro 2018? Let me know your experience down below these last 3 years. And while you're there, don't forget to leave a like, to subscribe to my channel. Thank you. We are growing. We are almost at 400 subscribers. Thank you all for that. And before I go, this was Texmer talking to you here. Bye.